All right, I see you. Two people are on the stream, or one person only. I can't quite tell. Can you type something in the chat and let me know if you can hear me? Because I'm testing the connection. Okay, lovely. Well, I mean, it's dead because it just started, so it just has to pick up. So even if it doesn't go particularly, do particularly great, so it's not a problem. I mean, once we get a bit of a habit to do these things every so often, what I'm saying, we will definitely get more people to discuss things. So, okay, well, I see I got first question, and which iteration of the Tyrannosaurus Rex do you prefer? Coming from a Jurassic Park fan. Jurassic Park fan here as well, and also, can I ask you to be a bit more specific in your question? Which between what? So, what are my choices? What are my options? Yes, definitely. I intend to do as many of them as I can, I guess. But obviously, it's a good idea maybe to take some breaks, maybe like a week or 2 weeks break, and then have things kind of happen in between, and then we can discuss them. So I definitely want to do this a lot more often than I used to, for sure, because previously I've just done it with the games only. So right now I want to just talk to people and discuss things, and perhaps just see what comes up and take it from there. I also want to understand what's the delay between my, camera, and the sound versus your chat messages, so that I can understand what's going on. Like, how quickly can we, get our messages across to each other? So I don't know if there's a way to test that. So if anybody has any ideas, please let me know what's the best way to find out. But in any case, hi there. Hi there. How is everybody doing anyway? I mean, what am I like? Oh, this one, yes, it's an ankylosaurid. It's not it's called Echinocephalus johnsoni. Actually, hold on a second. I'm gonna be showing you some of the stuff. Yeah, there it is. So let's see if we can get a bit more view. I'm sorry that the lighting in this room is a little bit. Oh, hey, Aram, how you doing? How you doing, man? Good to see you as well. And I presume we've all been a bit busy, so we didn't have a chance to chat offline, but could maybe interact a little bit here. So let me maybe lift my camera a little bit. It's hold on a second. That's the name of the dinosaur, and it's smaller than Ankylosaurus because this model was in a 1/10 scale. So Ankylosaurus would be literally about the size of this ruler, maybe a couple centimeters more. Okay. Now we can see more things on the background, right? Right. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. So we've got that one. Yeah, I still wait to hear from Optimus Prime to find out what exactly was my option, because obviously I want to understand the context of the question in terms of which iteration of the Tyrannosaurus Rex do I prefer. I mean, obviously I would say something like, I don't know, depends on which one is the most consistent with our current scientific knowledge and literature. Probably that would be my own, but then again, everybody can make a different one in terms of looks just based on that information alone. So everybody will still be able to produce a completely different styles, even based on the same info. Yes, Mike, I've got it. Sorry, by the way, I hope you don't mind me saying your real name here. Just realized that. Yeah, I got it from AMNH back in like 2007 or 2006, I think. I think what I want to do at one point is I want to maybe invest a bit more into making special space, like maybe you set up in a room, do like a proper, almost like a studio setup with all these different little things in the background, and just no, I don't want to have to do anything with these chicken sores, because I don't particularly, let's just say, well, I mean, I just don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's something that people should be doing, basically. That's to make it very short. I prefer not to have anything to do with that in any case, because I think it's not really what will truly advance our knowledge in paleontology. But again, my opinion could be limited because I haven't dug into this issue as much. My knowledge could be limited on what's actually going on. With that in mind, based on what I know so far, I don't want to have anything to do with that. Let's have a look. Are there any? Yes, I've got some questions here. So I believe this was your question, right? Because I've actually got it on my Word document here. So what other theropods or dinosaurs that I'm interested in? In fact, or it may be something that was just someone else who may have asked a similar question. So since it's more than one person, there's only more reason to answer. And I definitely think that some of the oh my god. I mean, I want to obviously give sort of get an idea of what other ones that I could think of that could, be interesting but a bit underrated, So let's think. I mean, with theropods, obviously, I find Deinocheirus particularly interesting. I find Mapiosaurus or Acrixinatosaurus, quite interesting. I find Spinosaurus, obviously, and I just kind of wish we knew more about Spinosaurus, the real thing, without always ending up with controversies, but actually with something that can give us a good skeleton, that can give us a good understanding of what it looks like, really. That's my ideal kind of scenario that I would wish we could embark on. So definitely those ones, and I definitely want to know more about the different species of the ceratopsids as well. Any Alvarezsaurus in Hell Creek? I mean, to be honest with you, it's hard to say because I mean, all the understanding of what could be in formations at the moment, the shortcut is the Wikipedia, but then again, you have to verify everything you look up in Wikipedia just to be sure that it's consistent. if there is a source material provided behind, sometimes they have the provided source materials behind them, so you have to verify them to make sure they're correct. But I actually don't know. I'm not sure. I can't remember. There were quite a lot of different dinosaurs in there already established, but about Alvarezsaurus, I don't actually know. I'm not sure. Now, what is your favorite dinosaur bearing formation? Well, guys, these are really tough questions here. I mean, well, Hell Creek, Morrison, Nemegt, what else? Bloody hell. I mean, I'm actually working on a list of things that I want to do for my sculptures. So they cover pretty much all the formations I want to look at the moment. So let me just see if I can have a look again. Sorry, the wrong one. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry, just let me have a look again. Well, yeah, Dinosaur Park, definitely. I mean, Kaiparovitz is interesting. Elraz formation is very cool. And there are some of them that are not particularly well understood, and I kind of wish that something like Candeleros and maybe, I don't know, like some other ones that have some famous fossils in them could be a bit better known and more understood, so we can reconstruct an ecosystem. So that would be really interesting. And I don't even know what else to add to this. I mean, Old Man formation is quite interesting too. I mean, there's many of them. I mean, it's hard to say because as soon as you find out more about them, it's really, really like one of those things that, make it hard to choose because all ecosystems are interesting and unique, yet they sometimes follow very similar patterns, and I find that the most fascinating. And thanks for the compliments, Paleosaurian 2.0. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Waking up is the second hardest thing in the morning. What's the first? Favorite herbivores, dinosaur. Well, mostly I'm a big fan in general of armored kind of dinosaurs. So to me, that umbrella term actually covers ankylosaurs of different kinds and particularly ceratopsids, because I guess I could, to a degree, say that we can consider ceratopsids armored, quote unquote, maybe. But I definitely say they're among my top favorites. But it's a tough choice, to be honest. They're all very unique and interesting. But I would say if I were to pick the ones I find most interesting, probably would be these two: the heavy armored ones and the slightly lighter armored ones, but more tanky. So let's see. Are you interested in pterosaurs, and would you ever do a video on that? Well, to answer your question, if I am interested in pterosaurs as a general thing, here, one of my work in progress, yeah? Still a lot to do. So that answers that question, I guess. And yes, of course, we can do some videos on pterosaurs, perhaps, but I'm not particularly proficient in them. I don't really know them very well to understand them. But there are definitely interesting ecosystems about pterosaurs, specifically like this one that I showed you. That's a Thalassodromius. It's from Santana Formation. And I can sort of see how there could be quite interesting things that could be reconstructed in that environment. And if you want, we can discuss that a bit more as well. Mosasaurs or pliosaurs or plesiosaurs. I always had a problem pronouncing that in English. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I'm more inclined to say mosasaurs because mosasaurs? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, to be honest. Yeah, I heard a door, so that must be someone coming back home. So Let's just see. Sorry if I'm not quick enough to get to everyone. I'm just gonna try to make sure that I get to as many of you as possible. So, okay, I see. So no Alvarezorids in Hell Creek then, if we are to believe what the wiki says. Nasutoceratops, by the way, is going to be planned for my Kaiparovitz formation collection because the Echinocephalus at the back here is from Kaiparovitz. So, and I presume that just answered the question that popped up at the bottom. It's not a Ankylosaurus, it's Echinocephalus, which is almost half the size of Ankylosaurus from Kaiparovitz formation. So let's see what else. If I were to discover a new dinosaur, either a theropod or ornithopod, what would I name it? Okay, if it's a theropod, let's say if it's a tyrannosaurid or of some sort, I would just call it my goodness. That's a good one. Let's think. Okay, if it's going to be already known, established taxon, so for example, if I were to find an Allosaurus or any other already known taxon, I would just ask to nickname the specimen AK Rex. If it was something, to do with me finding a completely new dinosaur, then that's a bit of a more difficult one here. So hard to say. But I would definitely, in its like species name, so we have the taxon. I don't know what I would call the taxon, but I would definitely like maybe give it something to do with my second name, or if I were to name it after myself, then I would give a second name after maybe a famous scientist, perhaps, that I like. I don't know, maybe after Dr. Holtz or Dr. Carr, Bersadi, Steve, or someone else. Like I would probably mix it up a little bit, So I actually don't know. I honestly can't come up with a name straight from the head. I'm sorry. It's a tough one. Hello to everyone who's just arrived, by the way. If I were to discover, okay, so I've got this one. That thing is beautiful, and I want it. Oh, you mean the Thalassodromius? Yeah, I'm definitely going to announce it once it's available. So I'm currently in the progress of making kits. So, and yeah, I got a request for this one. So let's get a closer look at that. This is my Daspletosaurus turosus bust, and these are, I don't know if the camera shows the detailing very well, but now let's see. The lamp? I'm sorry, I'm a bit slow here. What's going on with the lamp? Okay, maybe I will be able to find out soon once I read all this stuff. So let's have a look. What paleontological discovery do you want to happen the most? I mean, to be honest with you, I would ideally want something that can give us more information about the lesser known ecosystems, like the Candeleras formation or the Biharia, whatever it is, formation where the Spinosaurus comes from. I would like to find maybe more mummies of dinosaurs preserved to give and articulated to give us a better understanding of what they actually look like. So basically, as much information as possible to be preserved as per single specimen would be nice. That's something I would, prefer, I guess. Speaking of prehistoric snakes, I'm hoping one day I will make the 1 to 10 scale model kit of Titanoboa. I've got an idea for it that I think will work quite nicely in that size as well, to make it relatively compact and at the same time really impressive and kind of show it off a little bit as well. Horneri will be done in a bust in a similar manner as well, so you can basically have them two to sort of compare as a study maybe. So that's definitely going to happen. And yeah, let me grab that thing again. Don't worry about the English language, man. It's fine. English is not my first language either, by the way, so. No, it's akinocephalus or akinocephalus. I'm not sure exactly about the stress, but that's what it's called. It's from Kaiparovitz Formation. There's some more juice for you. Recognize this bad boy? Oh yeah, let me see. Maybe I can turn the light down a little bit. Is that better, guys? Do you think? Yeah, it's a Protoceratops. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I will need to set up. I've got something very interesting here. I've got this. And this bag right here contains some equipment, which I will explain shortly. Basically, it has all these, like there's two lights in there. There's three backdrops: green screen, the white screen, and the black screen. And it's got the special stands for them, and all of that kind of jazz. So maybe one day when I set it up, I will have a very nice, kind of, I don't know, what's it called? Maybe a better kind of studio for the filming and doing the live streams instead of this one, because I have a light slightly misalignment here. And also check this one out. So technically, it's meant to be like that. Hold on. Yep. Right, let's read the rest of the comments. Let's see. I've noticed it's a bit of a common part of speculative paleo art. So what's your opinion on reconstructions of theropods with whiskers? Well, I guess it begs for the counter question. Do we have any evidence of dinosaurs or any other animals, aside from mammalian animals, or animals that are related in particular to dinosaurs, to have whiskers in the first place? So I would say first thing to do is try to answer that question honestly, looking at facts based on what we know, and then can try to see if you can arrive to some conclusions. Now, that does not mean it's 100% correct, because we only can make conclusions based on the information available. By based on the information available, I can say no, I don't think, because the thing is, I don't consider paleo art to be something that can be labeled as speculative, because paleo art in its purest classic form is meant to give you a reconstructive understanding based on the scientific empirical evidence. The art itself can be speculative, but if you call it paleo art, then the paleo art exactly is supposed to represent what this creature would have looked like based on specific studies, for example. That's why you will see a lot of professional paleo art being done, usually to accompany certain pieces of scientific literature. Were Psittacosaurus and Protoceratops roughly the same size? Yeah, they were about 2 meters in length, roughly, and give or take. So I don't know about their mass difference, but I can say they are pretty much about the same size, yeah. Thalassodromius, yes, of course. As you can see, it's not really done yet, so it's there's quite a lot of details that needs to be added before I can even begin to try to call it complete. I'll show you a couple more things in a moment as well. So what, in your opinion, is the most interesting fact about T-Rex or its family? A few things, actually. One of them is the fact that we are observing more and more evidence that show us so far that they are basically like an evolutionary progress forward from their predecessors who dominated their niches in ecological systems. Oh my goodness, if only, let me just see if I can. There was a recently published paper. I need to have a look which one it is, but any of you can actually. What I'll do is I'll drop it over here once I find the link. So bear with me a second. It's not yet formatted, to my understanding, so there's still like we still need to know more before we can understand the whole thing better. But to my understanding is that there was I just looked at it recently and I can't find it now. There was a study that basically shows us that tyrannosaurids were actually more, even more agile. They could pivot basically better when they were moving, and they were able to do more things in general. Like they were also more adapted at killing more variety of prey in different ways, in ways that, say, allosauroids weren't able to do. So I think that's one of the things that makes them more interesting, and the fact that they were making specific anatomical adaptations to favor more, a better adaptation to be a better predator, like seen in Tyrannosaurus Rex, with the slightly more forward vision. Similar ideas seen already as early as Lythronax or Gestis as well. So those things I find the most interesting about them, as well as their biting power, their teeth, the structure of how better adapted they are at potentially taking down something a bit more tanky than what allosaurids could do. So that would probably dictate slightly different adaptation to the hunting tactics, because obviously there's going to be more, you know, more things about them that make them a bit more specialized in their own respective environments. So let's see what else we have here. We can go back to this discussion later as well. So it's I don't think that there is enough to kind of really go around from straight from the top of my head. So there's obviously going to be a lot more, but this is what I could think of at the moment. All right. If you want me to show you some pieces again, then just type in the comments and I'll show you some pieces again as well. Now, I think the trike species that is shown here is likely to be a Prorsus. I don't think it's a Horridus. Because you see here, the horn, the nasal horn is a bit more forward and it's bigger. So Horridus would probably have a nasal horn about here, and it would be a bit more like a bump, and the brow horns would probably be a little bit longer in contrast. And you see the frill shape also is a bit more wide and round spread, rather than, you know, the more kind of slightly backward, similar, like Horridus frill shape is a bit more similar, maybe more resemblant of the classic Chasmosaurin, basically. While Prorsus, like this one, as far as I understand, would be a bit more rounded and sideways facing. Now, what else do we have here? No, I don't think it's a Horridus. I think it's a Prorsus, actually. But then again, the skull may not necessarily represent something in particular. It might just be a generic sort of trike without trying to go into details. But I think it's a Prorsus. I don't think it's a Horridus. But at least based on what my observations are. So it could be either, to be honest with you. Sometimes even I can't always tell. But generally speaking, I think there's more reasons to think it's a Prorsus than Horridus. So let me go up a little bit, guys. So give me a second. I usually give my belly or art animals colors of the animals. I think that's interesting. It depends on what environment they were in and what you are using, what approach are you using to reconstruct them. But, well, it's your work. You can give them whatever colors you like, really. So, you know, depends. What else can we? What is? Hold on a second. May have missed a few things. So I just want to make sure that I'm definitely covering everything. Yeah. Do I have a sculpture of Dracula, or you mean Hetzegopteryx? No, but I do plan to do a Quetzalcoatlos though at one point or another. So that will definitely come up at one point. Right now, I want to focus on converting all the kits that I've already made into actual resin kits, so that people can start pre-ordering them. And once I get that done, I will announce the pre-order prices. It looks like it missed the. Well, to be honest, there could be quite a number of things still not there, because like I said, I recently only started sculpting it, so I still got a lot of details and parts to add. I still haven't added the digits on the wing, arm, whatever parts, you know what I mean? So still haven't done the eyes. I still haven't done quite a lot of things on it. So there's plenty of things at the moment that will be missing. So we have to be patient. A few months ago, I did upload a Spinosaurus drawing with whiskers, since I found the idea interesting, though. That was a... Well, I mean, we can find whatever ideas out there interesting, but I personally do not support it simply because there's no empirical evidence for it and there's no reason to suggest they had them or need them in the first place. So, again, I'm not judging those who like to go through the thought exercise of them having it, but I personally think it's highly unlikely. Pterosaurs and family. I mean, I don't really have any particular family of pterosaurs that is favorite. So I don't know. It's hard to say, to be honest. I mean, in general, I mean, obviously, I like these big ones like Hexagopteryx or Quetzalcoatlus. They're quite interesting. I quite like the one that I've showed you as well, Thalassodromios. I like Tupuxuara, Leonardi. I like the Alexirhanodon. I'm quite. I also like the Dimorphodon, Rhamphorhynchus. The most traditional ones, or Tropiognathus. Those I think are quite interesting. I don't know them all that well. I'm not a pterosaur literate guy just yet, but I do want to kind of brush up a little bit on them. Putting Tarbosaurus in the same genus as Tyrannosaurus. I mean, let's just the way I see it at the moment is that it's just a matter of opinions. I haven't seen any actual scientific publication that actually puts them under the same taxa and also gives context and explanations and methods as to why they do it. So my personal opinion is that it will be whatever it is. I mean, we have to just simply get more papers published on it and more analysis done by different people and understand which idea holds up to most scrutiny. And the one that holds up to most scrutiny the best should be the one that should be the null hypothesis. I hope that answers the question. Yeah, guys, please don't use. I mean, of course, if the context allows it, I don't mind people swearing, but I generally kind of prefer for a more constructive conversation. So if you don't agree with something, just provide a bit of context. No, don't just label things with names, for no real reason. Well, many people believe different things. So yeah, if somebody believes Spinosaurus had feathers, well, who am I to stop them? Any obscure Mesozoic non-dinosaur reptiles? The best example I can think of is Alocotosaurus. It's an interesting one. Alocotosaurus. Let me have a look. Or maybe I read that wrong, actually. Hold on a second. No, nothing happened. Okay, let me just go back for a second. Paleosaurian 2.0, can I ask you to check the spelling of this thing that you've given me earlier in the message about the non-dinosaur reptiles thing? So just to check the spelling, because I tried to type it in a Google and I haven't seen anything there. So maybe I made a mistake or maybe not, but nothing comes up with that spelling. So just double check, please, for me, if you don't mind. I live in the same country that hosts the Gopteryx. Oh, you're from Romania, if I understand correctly, because I think Hexagopteryx is a Romanian pterosaur. I don't consider anything to be very accurate if we're talking about something that is not supported by empirical evidence. That's just my take on it. So, um, you know, take from it what you will, but that's my opinion personally. I don't think I'm a bit critical and empirical when it comes to what is accurate. So that's just my view. But again, I cannot tell you what to do. Nor am I somebody who I would say has an authority to judge that. I only use the empirical evidence available. I don't actually make this up myself. I just base my arguments on the empirical evidence out there. And my only view from this point is that if you want to be accurate, then you follow the empirical evidence to the best way possible. That's my idea. Yeah, talk to you later, man. Talk to you later. We'll see you soon, hopefully. Yeah, Hood Angel, or no, wait a second. Oh, no, that's Yusiku, sorry. Yusiku, I used to think similar kind of ideas as well at one point or another. And, well, there's many things that people theorize on. There's many things that people think. So anybody can think whatever. So let's just say, science is not based on what we think or what we like or what we feel. It's based on different premises. So is Tyrannosaurus technically the biggest as it reigns supreme in terms of mass? The biggest what? The biggest theropod? The biggest carnivorous theropod? I mean, I've done a video on it already. So generally speaking, it depends because sizes in theropods are pretty tricky because some of them have some certain adjustments in body plans, variation, the amount of mass concentrated in one particular area. You know what I mean? Like there's it's tricky, but I would say it's one of. I would not say it's but it's one of. Well, I mean, swearing as in like not just spamming it, because if you're gonna be spamming it, believe me, you're gonna get booted from here. So don't be spamming swearing words here, please. Like I said, only if it's got if it's an appropriate context. Yes, I mean, even I swear from time to time, even on my channel, if I feel like the context is appropriate. So, what's the big deal? Okay, I see. So that's why you didn't. I see. I get you. So, yeah, I'll have to look that up then. Well, this one is interesting. I'll need to have a look at that paper. Arden et al. 2018. Okay, gotcha. Let me hold on a moment. Right. Hold on a second. Let me just write that down. So it's Arden et al. 2018. Sorry, Arden et al. My goodness. Is my eyesight getting worse now? I hope not. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so you will probably find it surprising, but I didn't grow up on Transformers where I'm from, so don't know to say anything, and therefore I haven't even watched the movies very much. It wasn't anything that I just wanted to do, in terms of movies. This was one of the things that just never really been part of my childhood. There's nothing for me to relate to that particular franchise. I mean, I heard rumors about it not being particularly great as far as movies go, like not doing the justice to the franchise in contrast to the older ones, but that's all. That's as far as I can take it. I'm afraid I can't give you any valid opinions on it. Let's see. I live in the land of Neovenator, Iguanodon, Megalosaurus, and Polacanthus, Celidosaurus. What else? A few other things, I guess. What made you think that my server is Christian? I know you probably meant it as a joke, but there is nothing Christian about my server. I'm not actually a religious person at all. I'm more of an agnostic slash atheist and more of a philosopher than anything that related to religion in any way. So I don't know what gave you that idea, but I appreciate the joke. Okay, I'll need to look up Sigilmasaurus. Okay, let's hold on a second. Let's do that quickly. Why don't we just have a look? So let's copy that and let's paste it and just see what that thing actually tells us. In Africa. So, okay. So they are, yeah. So it's also presumably. Well, it's interesting. Yeah, we'll need to read on it a bit more. I definitely want to read the paper because obviously there may be some disputes going on about the validity of that taxon. So, but it will be interesting. I'm sorry, Scorpio Rapti. I don't understand what that means. You have an opinion too. You are I'm sorry. I don't understand what that means. I'm sorry if I'm sounding a bit ignorant here. So I must have missed something there along the line. So if it's important, then please provide context. The worst JP film. Oh my God. It's gonna be somewhere along the lines of Fallen Kingdom or Jurassic Park 3. And the 2015 coming close up. But to be perfectly honest with you, I just don't like the sequels altogether, aside from the second sequel. For me, Jurassic Park is only about the first and second film. Everything else, I don't want to even acknowledge it as canon, to be honest. I just don't want it to exist at this point anymore. There were times when I wanted to because I just wanted to see more dinosaurs on screen, but now I kind of regret having that wish. So, they say careful what you wish for. So if I were to have a newborn T-Rex hatchling, yeah, and it can be trained, what would I do? Would I study it, show it off, or etc.? Well, studying it, definitely. Showing it off, of course. I want to show off my pet to the world. Well, not to the world, maybe to a few friends. And guys, if you imagine how badass Kevin Richardson looks when he takes pictures, awesome pictures next to his lions, if you've seen his Facebook page, you will see some cool pictures there when he just literally sits there like this. And there's like a lion, male lion next to him. Can you imagine how badass would I look next to a freaking T-Rex? Do the math. So, hell yeah, of course I would. And yeah, I would love to train it to be like my guard maybe, and just kind of when it wants to roam around and do stuff, I can just let it go. And then if I need to kind of be like, hey, come here. He would just be like, yeah, what's up? I guess. So um, MK, you mean Mortal Kombat? If you're talking about Mortal Kombat, then I actually am quite a big fan of Mortal Kombat. I love that. So I've got a skeleton of work done today. I have to put more backbone into the organ. Yeah, okay. Um, Jesus is a pretty cool guy, though. Well, I mean, you can tell us all about him some other time, I guess, not in this chat. So, um, are there any similarities in the tooth structure of Giganotosaurus and Carcharodontosaurus? Was was the whole "can't see you if you don't move" thing of for T-Rex ridiculous? That's one thing inaccurate. Okay, the whole "I can't see you if you don't move" thing was definitely wrong because I believe there was at least one or two papers out there back in the days. In fact, Dr. Larry Whitmer would be the one to ask this question probably, but it kind of shows that T-Rexes and just dinosaurs in general, at least the ones that have been studied, they could see pretty damn well even if you didn't move. So, yeah, that would be a big mistake to make, thinking that it can't see you if you don't move. And as for the other things, yes, I'm pretty sure there must be some similarities, but I think they would still be different enough to make Carcharodontosaurus stand out. Hence why probably Carcharodontosaurus got that name, because it has a slightly distinctive look in shape to shark teeth. But generally, you would see that I think Allosaurids' teeth generally tend to be very similar. But I think what we'll do at one point, when we get to invite Dr. Steven Bersati to my channel, I'm going to try to see if we can talk about Allosauroid theropods a bit more in detail, and we can discuss these things too. I don't like either FK or JP3. Neither of them, in my opinion, are good movies. I mean, they both make pretty shitty movies. There you go. I just cursed. So, whatever. And I agree that Indoraptor had an interesting design to it. In fact, it was maybe even more reasonable design than Indominus, in my opinion, but they were designed for different things. And I don't like the idea that they were using the whole weaponizing dinosaurs premise when it was clear that even when it was hinted in 2015 film, everybody hated that idea for obvious reasons. There's just so many things not reasonable about that. And they still went that direction anyway, so go figure. Whatever. Hollywood doesn't make sense. Not to me, anyway. The more I try to make sense of it, the more I want to spit. It's funny you should ask that question because I have it right here, but I haven't read it yet because I want to read it first, and then I can talk about it on the channel with hopefully Dr. Steven Bersati once he makes it. So. Now let's see. My Mortal Kombat main characters. Oh, I love Scorpion, because that's just, I've always been a Scorpion fan. Gotta be honest, and Sub-Zero, actually, come to think of it. Both of them are always my two favorites, but if I were to kind of choose other ones that I quite find interesting, if you were talking about the ones that I like to play as, it would depend on the game individually. So it depends which game. But if I were to say just generally as characters with their lore and fluff backstory, then I would say Scorpion, Sub-Zero, both the older and the younger. I found Kitana quite interesting as well. I liked Cyrex quite a lot. I think Shang Tsung and Quan Chi in particular is a very interesting character. I think in terms of writing, he's one of the best written characters, I think, in Mortal Kombat universe. But again, Mortal Kombat has some problems when it comes to writing, but it could be quite interesting if they were to kind of explore it a bit better, in my opinion. Take care, Yusiku. Hope I'll see you soon again. Well, whose death do you think is the of Jurassic Park franchise was the most humorous? I definitely think Gennaro's, yes, because I don't know why, but I found it hilarious that he was sitting there on a toilet and yet, you know, he just got eaten, you know, and also had that, you know, the shaky movement. I don't know why, but I'm always laughing every time Gennaro gets murdered. Am I a sick idiot? Maybe, but I don't know why, but it always makes me laugh. Hey, you're back, Aram. So, what do you think of the new Eofana? Oh, Eofana made a Giga model. Let's have a look. Maybe I've already seen it, but let me just Google it quickly just to make sure I remember what we're on about. Giganotosaurus. Let's check this out. May need to go to everythingdinosaur.co.uk to check, but I think we could probably. You know what, Aram, if you're still watching the stream, can you drop the picture by any chance? Maybe that would be much easier and quicker to actually find the piece. But I think it's not listed on the Everything Dinosaur yet. We only have two animals there. It's the straight-tusked elephant and a steppe mammoth. So I don't think they've done the Giga. I mean, they haven't released it yet, I think. So post a picture if you can into the chat, or at least a link to it so we can have a look. Bahariasaurus. I mean, I don't have anything to say of that just yet. Let me quickly Google it just to remember what Bahariasaurus. Well, yeah, I think I'm starting to get some recollection. So, I mean, how much of the remains are actually known? I believe they didn't have a whole lot of remains known. I mean, all we know is that it's pretty big, and it could be quite in the same size league as basically like, you know, T-Rex and etc. But I don't even know, to be honest. I mean, need to. Yeah, don't really have much to comment because we don't have a whole lot of fossils to look at, so there's nothing to say, unfortunately. Could have been pretty impressive, but, well, who knows? Hopefully we'll find it again and be able to get more info. If you're talking about 100 million years ago, as in like the Elras formation, which would have Sarcosuchus and Suchomimus in it, I can say I definitely find that very interesting. It's one of my personal, like, most, well, not, oh, wait a second, it's 100 million, so because the Elras formation is 125 in a range of 212, so that's not quite. Remind me what was in there, because like when it comes to these things, like sometimes I forget quite easily what are we looking at exactly. As for this other guy's paleo art, not much to comment, to be honest. I've seen a few of his work, but I can't really say much, simply because if it was something that would have probably given me a very strong impression, or something that I would have liked or considered, worthy of my personal attention, I would have probably brought that up at one point or another. But since I haven't, and since I can hardly even recollect, I can't really comment much. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying that I can't even recollect much to it. Didn't leave any strong kind of memories in the back of my head. So. And the second thing I forgot to answer, actually, about what would be the most stupid thing to do in front of a T-Rex. Well, to stand there and look at it like, I don't know, like you've just seen, I don't know, a ghost, I guess, whatever. So yeah, whatever you do, don't just stand there. Try to find a way to get out of there as quickly as possible. But if you know that you cannot get away, maybe shit your pants and hope that it's not going to want to eat you after that. That's a defensive mechanism. If neither is available, if running is not available, if shitting is not available, then face your death with dignity and just start punching it into its feet and die like a warrior, I guess. I don't know. So what else? Let's see what else we have. Well, why would you think that it was not suited to take down sauropods? There's no reason to suggest why it could not apply the same tactic that Allosauroids did, considering that the recent paper, which I'm still trying to find to share, has already concluded that they were more maneuverable and more agile than even Allosauroids. That actually makes this tactic even more effective. It may not just be its prey of preference. If you're talking about a fully grown, why would anybody go for a fully grown sauropod if there are many other choices of prey available? So also, it's very important to understand what else was available in that time period and place as the Javelina formation, if you're talking about Alamosaurus. Well, we don't have any evidence in terms of, what's the best way to put it? There's no way to tell at the moment what would be the right way of looking at it in terms of Tarbosaurus being the Asian Tyrannosaurus. And it won't be a T-Rex, basically. It will just be a Tyrannosaurus bataar, because T-Rex is T-Rex. So I think the most scientific evidence we have so far is actually, well, in terms of scientific literature at least, it's the paper that basically distinguishes the two apart rather than lumps them together. So like Dr. Carr said, he's probably only one or maybe pretty much alone in this idea. So that's why he made it very clear, even in my interview and in another podcast's interview that he's done, that he's pretty much alone when it comes to this hypothesis. Get over here! Yes! Yeah, don't know who the CM Kozman is either. I don't know. I have to see some examples to get a recollection. There's actually a funny, interesting thing about what's it called? The cool thing about Ermac, of how it was made, I think it was by accident, and they just decided to go with it. Like I can't remember the full story behind it, but it was a very interesting story behind the development. So definitely, if you don't know already, definitely look it up. You'll find it quite interesting, I'm sure. Okay, so we have to go to Facebook to have a look. Okay, let's have a look on Facebook on Eofauna page, because apparently they made a Giga, so I want to see what they have a look. Even if they did already make Giganotosaurus, I don't understand how come I've not seen it yet. Oh yeah, there is a Giga there. Wow, that's cool. Okay, I'll post the link here. If you guys want to check it out, there's a few posts down. There's a Giganotosaurus there. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'll definitely want to check it out for sure. It looks pretty cool. At least, well, sort of, I guess. I mean, of course, I will need to hold it in my hands, but based from this picture, I quite like it actually. It's quite cool. Seems like it's quite nice proportion. So anyway, let's get to the other questions so that we can cover them quicker because I seem to be falling behind a little bit. All right, take care, Paleonerd. Paleonerd, I mean, sorry, pronunciations. Well, it depends when it comes what you know, what do you do? Like, you know, do you run? Do you fight? Like, depends. Chances are you would die either way. So how do you want to die, basically, when facing the T-Rex? How do you want to make him pay for killing you? Basically, that's the question we should be asking here. Yeah, Optimus Prime. Basically, velociraptors in real life are not velociraptors from Jurassic Park. So, if you are talking about velociraptor in real life, you're talking about Velociraptor mongoliensis. That's the one that I've just showed. So I'll bring up the thing again. It's this one right here. I don't know if you can see it, but so yeah, velociraptors are completely different, and of course, you won't have any evidence at the moment to prove that Dilophosaurus would have spat venom. So there's no reason to suggest they did because there's simply no empirical evidence whatsoever that would suggest that. And I don't know, Nolan. I don't think maybe it wasn't addressed to myself, but I don't recall if I have mentioned about Tyrannosaurus being limited in their tail flexion. I mean, I know that they wouldn't be able to flex their tails generally to the degree when they go like this. Like that's not going to happen. I mean, there is a limit to how dinosaurs and specifically theropods would do it because if they were to do that, that would just basically destroy their balance. It's just tail acts as a balance mechanism for them to move because they also have the muscles that connect their back of the hip to the tail. And the tail serves a very good kind of controlling mechanism. So when they move, it's like the muscles here on the sides that go to the back of the hip, they would move accordingly as well as they move their legs. And the tail would basically move in that sort of motion. So the only thing is that is important to understand is that, yeah, of course, they would be able to bend it to a degree, but it wouldn't be bent completely, crazy like that. I mean, not like they do in some artwork, for example, that you see in the older artwork, maybe, or in the graphic kind of art of some sort for games and all of that stuff. Um, Yes, you can all type your questions. I'm just trying to make sure that I get to everybody as quickly as I can. So sorry if I'm skipping someone, if I'm not replying to every single comment. So I'm gonna try to pick out the questions and make sure that I can at least answer them first. So and then we can hopefully get back. Hey, hello, hello, hello. Yes, I know. I hated school back in the days as well. Nothing good about it, mostly. I'm joking, but I understand what you mean. Welcome. Yeah, exactly. So the point is that it's not about already at that point whether you survive with the T-Rex. You just find the best way to make him pay for it, basically. If you know that he's gonna kill you, then you might as well make it the most difficult decision that it has ever made in its life. So let's think about what that could be potentially. And that is also what you said about the knife is if you have a knife, what if you don't? Yeah, I don't think that at the end of the Jurassic Park, tail bending like that would have been plausible. I just don't see how that would work and be consistent. I think this was basically at the time it was not yet established probably that their tails generally would stay mostly straight. Even if they would bend, they would it would be minimum, not to that degree. At least that's what I gathered from it. But of course, don't quote me on it yet because I need to double check that. But I think that's what it was. I don't see why people were having a problem with how Zara died. In fact, I think that it should have like they dumbed it down the whole franchise to the point where it's become too kid friendly, and I don't like that. I think if they were to stay more true to the novels to the highest degree possible, they should have had even more brutal death scenes for the human characters, in my opinion. So Zara's death, actually, in my opinion, was actually quite good. So I don't think that was a bad scene at all. I think it was a perfect scene, and it was to a degree shocking and disturbing. And that was one of the things, in my again, that's my perception because you did ask me a question, so I'm answering right. So yeah, I think this would have been a very nice touch that they should have explored a bit more, make it a bit more kind of impactful, in that way, rather than just random as they were shoehorning things around. And yeah, no animals won't care how good or bad they are. If they have a chance to eat you if they're hungry or whatever, and if you happen to be there in the wrong place at the wrong time, they'll eat you. They don't care about your feelings. Okay, they just see food. They don't see you as a person. Yes, Tyrannosaurus is definitely one of my favorite dinosaurs of all, and animals as well. If you talk about all together. I don't think that Megaraptorans are part of Allosauria. I think they are more inclined towards Silurosauria, but it's a bit tricky. I don't know. There is something fishy going on with this clade, so I think we need to look more into it at one point or another just to find. Yeah, Mr. Hammerhead. Well, what can I say? Hollywood does have its imprints on certain people that just can't think outside of the big screen when it comes to these things. So I guess that tells you a whole lot about what people know about dinosaurs in general outside of the movies. So don't think it's something to be taken seriously in any case. But yes, I understand what you mean exactly. I think there must have been a paper. I wish I remember that says that sauropods were not actually able to do that. That their legs would actually break, or in case they were to try to pull that off, because the stress on the hind legs would be too great for them to do that. Like there were some that suggested that if elephants could do it, maybe then that would be this a valid example to compare. But I think there was a study that didn't agree to it, but I wish I could remember from straight over the head what paper that was. But yeah, I think the likely answer is no. No, it's 1/10. It may I may have gone maybe a centimeter over. So let me have a look actually, because I was going by the skull size of 110 centimeters. So if the skull you're thinking was smaller, then perhaps I may have gone a bit overboard. But let me actually double check. Hold on a second. Oh yes, Candid Sculpts, you are correct. I've gone actually as 1 centimeters overboard in the scale. So yes, it's basically 1 centimeters out of scale. I hope that makes sense. So if I basically made it at least 1 centimeter shorter, perhaps then it would have been more true to scale. So whoopsie daisies. I don't think it would break its legs and fall over, but I definitely don't think it was a fast runner or a chaser. I think it was fast enough to be able to do what it needed to do in order to hunt in its ecosystem. And most of the animals in that ecosystem that would likely be its prey are definitely not going to be as fast as what we see T-Rex do in Jurassic Park film. Like, let's just say my idea is that personally, based on what I'm looking at, that Tyrannosaurs were not, especially T-Rex itself, it was more of a heavy hitter than a chaser. I hope that metaphorical comparison makes somewhat of a sense. Yeah, JW movies fuck everything up. What can I say? So, like I said, the last 3 sequels are rubbish because they simply ignore continuity, and I don't even know if I'm willing to get into that rant because I've done it already, but I can do more later, but in the videos. I mean, I really have a lot of problems with what they're doing, and a lot of times it's just basically not convincing because we have already established why it's not a good idea for them to do that. Whatever they were doing, there's no motive for these films generally to exist. Because Lost World and the first film, they have already established 2 main points. You don't make theme parks with dinosaurs because that's dangerous and chances are things are gonna go wrong. And when they do, shit happens. Then you don't want to take dinosaurs off the island from the habitat where they are now because, again, shit happens and things get ugly. So 2 main lessons learned. What else is there to learn from it? I don't know. But that's me basically dumbing it down a little bit. There's obviously more to it than that. Yes, tall grass scene was awesome. I love that as well. One of my favorites. I don't know about this study because if it's still unpublished, then, well, unless it's published, it doesn't exist. So once it gets published, then we'll have a look. And I'll show you the bust. Uh, Christian, if you're talking about the paper on whether it can swim or not, then I've looked over it briefly, but I haven't read it in detail yet. I have tons of papers that I need to read and brush up on, and I just don't have the time, unfortunately, to do it because I'm mostly focusing on sculpting and doing other things and looking for new work because I need to find a new job as quickly as possible as well. Yeah, of course, money is the main reason, but that's for Hollywood. For general purposes, there is really no reason for them to be there because there isn't any. I no, I mean, study as in like academically. No, I never studied paleontology academically. I just read on it like ever since. But my most up to date knowledge came much later when I actually started getting more interactions with people from the community, and some of those people have already been guests on my channel, and there are many more to come. And a couple of interview sessions are still in the editing process, so stay tuned for them. I will need to update the Parasaurolophus bust a little bit because I looked up some interesting articles, studies for it, and I think it's a different species of Parasaurolophus, but the general idea is that they have to have the same scale integument on their crests as well, so they're not supposed to be flat like I did it. So I'm gonna adjust that bit, and once I do that, I'll start casting it out. If you, Christine, if you're talking about general franchise overall in terms of dinosaur design, I still think T-Rex was a nice design for its time, especially. I also quite liked their. I'm just trying to remember what else. Uh, I mean, generally, all of their dinosaurs, in terms of their styles, are quite nice in terms of the design visual aspect. It's just that you have to get me more specific. Are we giving it any specific comparison criteria, or are we just thinking in general of what looks cool? You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm trying to understand. But if we're talking about just the rule of cool, then yeah, I mean, I definitely say that as far as the rule of cool goes, they do quite well. Well, give me the money and I'll make you a movie. And as a matter of fact, if any of y'all wanna participate, I'm welcome. I'm welcoming to more folk in acting, camera crew, whatever. Anybody is welcome, or helping me with some design too. So let's just get the money first, guys, and then we'll decide what to do later. Okay? Let's do this. Stegosaurus, not yet, but I've done some basic outline of the armature, but I want to do more armature before I go on with clay, so hang on a moment. So this is the armature, and I've based it a little bit on the London specimen Sophie, although I don't know if size-wise they are exactly the same. I mean, in the scale, because I'm using the general size. I don't know if Sophie is actually as big as the average size, but I think Sophie is about 5 or 6 meters in length. I'm not sure. But I've recently photographed the digits, the close-up of the skull, and few things, so I should be all right with that, hopefully. Yes, it's Walkeri, and I think I might do, maybe one day I will do a full-size model, but the thing is there is already a model kit for Parasaurolophus walkeri out there done by I don't remember what's the name of the brand, but they've done a Pentaceratops in 1/10, and they've also got a Parasaurolophus Valkyrie in the 1/10 scale as well. So I kind of don't think I want to repeat, the same things just yet. I want to do something different first, and then maybe I might eventually do a Parasaurolophus too. What do I think of Papoceratosaurus? I love it. It's my favorite Papo figure at the moment, among a few others, but that's my top favorite at the moment. What do I think of Ken Ham? What does anybody think of creationist who basically is not a religious person and just generally, well, I don't know. I think Ken Ham just does propaganda, and I don't watch him, and for good reasons. I just don't want to waste the time of my life on this kind of idiocracy. Basically, that's all I can say. I don't want to even discuss creationists on my channel, ever. Not unless, of course, something happens that will make me step into that direction. But generally speaking, I don't like to even get mixed up with these discussions. They are just, to me, they all represent, but all they represent is willful ignorance. That's all I can say. I don't think that hiding in the toilet was a bad idea, because technically T-Rex would not have spotted him if Malcolm didn't run the same direction. So I think it was partially Malcolm's fault that Gennaro got spotted, because if it wasn't for that, then he would have just outwaited the whole thing to finish, and then he would have run off, I guess. Shrink wrapping is not a thing anymore. It shouldn't be, at least. I don't think anybody who knows already much, something about how to do correct reconstructions would shrink wrap anymore. It used to be a thing, I agree, but not anymore. So, hell with shrink wrapping. Don't like shrink wrapping. It's stupid. Stupid. Yeah, Spinal was a cool design, generally. It's a cool looking creature. Not the Spinosaurus, because it's not really what I think Spinosaurus looked like by many things that we already know, even based on the skull alone. But it's just a cool looking creature design, I would say that. Thanks, Maximilian. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Well, generally speaking, the most canon information we have is that for all films except Jurassic Park 3, T-Rex was 12 meter longs. 12 meter longs, 12 meters long. Okay, so that's what we generally are led to believe at the moment. In Jurassic Park 3, based on the supplementary material from the collector's edition, I think it's 11 point something, which is the size of a young adult, mostly, or something, but it's definitely an adult size, but it's just not probably the mature adult yet. The only thing that's different, the only thing that they never stated or made it clear is if the T-Rex in Jurassic Park 3 was indeed a young adult, they didn't give it a different kind of design, because coloration itself, well, they changed coloration of different dinosaurs, and that's not indicating anything. It just indicates that they decided to do something different because, why not? Basically, they didn't really give any real explanation in the context to why these differences and changes all of a sudden occurred. Like, why did Parasaurolophus all of a sudden turn green color while previously it was brown? Why did Brachiosaurus miraculously all became yellow, lemonish color with red heads? There's like design choices like that just never got explained. So, go figure. Anybody is welcome to ideas, obviously, but I'm just looking at the facts itself, whether or not we actually are given any information or not. So, no, I do not have any T-Rex skulls, I'm afraid. No. Oh, Darren McDonald. That sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure I've seen work done by whoever. Let me Google it. Hold on a second. If I can find anything, that is, of course. Darren McDonald, you say. Yes, that's right. Yes, Darren McDonald. Yes, that's the one. And the 1 to 10 scale that I know from his is Pentaceratops, which I personally think is a bit shrink wrapped, by the way. I don't like the choices that they've made on the design there. And but I quite like the Parasaurolophus because it looks generally quite consistent with what we know overall. So it's definitely going to fit very well with the collection. So I'm definitely, if anything, I would get that Parasaurolophus for sure. Grab hold of it while you can. I will do that as well as soon as I save up money. I'm definitely going to grab it at one point and paint it. T-Rex, which T-Rex and which Spino? You're talking about Jurassic Park or you're talking about real life? Because in real life, we have probably more than enough reasons to believe that T-Rex would definitely win if they were to actually engage in the fight, based on what we know. In Jurassic Park 3, generally, I think it would be a tie depending on how things go. But the way the fight went down in that film, since T-Rex got the first bite in, I think that should have been the end of Spinosaurus. If the Spinosaurus managed to get in there and actually, like do all these kind of shenanigans, then yeah, maybe it would have been the victor. So I think they would be quite evenly matched. So, but that's been my opinion. But the way they played it out is that they made it that Spinosaurus was a complete Gary Stew or Mary Sue. I don't even know what gender it is. So pick one, I guess. And and just made it practically invulnerable to whatever T-Rex was doing to it. So that was my main problem with it. Not the fact that it lost, but the fact that they just made it absolutely insane. T-Rex or 50,000 Emperor Penguins? Well, that's 50,000 Emperor Penguin corpses, if you ask me. Remember, context is important. Context. Are we talking about Jurassic Park or real life animals? Because in real life, things do not get as exciting usually when it comes to these kind of things. Then, they're not going to go all awesome, bro, like roar, screaming their lungs out and then biting each other to the death. It's not going to happen like that. Most of the times it won't, I'm pretty sure. I think we can safely bet that it won't. What do I think of Trey the Explainer and RJ Palmer? Why? Well, first of all, can you specify a bit more? What do you mean? What do I think about them? Like, in what way? What I think about their content? What I think about what exactly? Like, can you give a bit more context to the question? Who would I rather fight? 50 chicken-sized Tyrannosaurs or 1 T-Rex-sized chicken? 50 chicken-sized Tyrannosaurs, definitely, because I can kick them. And I can remember all of the skills that I've learned in my Wing Chun and Kung Fu training. So I'd say it's a mini Tyrannosaurus football time or soccer, depends where you're from. Yeah, brighter colors can be males. I mean, whatever. There may be a chance to that. So there are all sorts of things that could be possible, but unfortunately we cannot verify it. So too bad. I wish we could. And the Optimus Prime, to add to your comment there about the T-Rex being obviously being the strongest bite force. Remember, there is also a paper that has recently established that they were even more maneuverable, more agile than even Allosauroids. So I'll share that paper later on, actually. Not here, maybe, but maybe when we do a video on the channel next time. Not the stream, but I mean, I'm actually going to discuss that on the channel. Planet Dinosaur. I mean, it was fun to watch, but it's absolutely full of crap. I'm just gonna be straight. Without getting into details, it's absolute bull crap, honestly. Just, mm, I don't know. Documentaries in general, I find they're quite lacking of true scientific information. I think, Christian, that the Trichscalis process. Some people in the comments have thought it was a Horridus, but I think based on the nasal horn and the brow horns and the shape of the frill, and I think the width of the snout as well, it's more likely to be a Prorsus than a Horridus. Hey, Aaron, welcome. How you doing? I am glad you came by, and yes, there will be new interviews coming up soon. Two of them actually, but I just need to finish editing them because they're quite big ones. I mean, like one is 2.5 hours, the other one is 40 minutes. So lots of material. I think you may be onto something, but I'm really bad at the that feet inches system. Unfortunately, I'm a metric guy. I'm afraid, but it may be something that you could be onto something. I would advise to just look stuff up, to be honest, and because don't forget that most of the hip heights are the ones that are given, are provided. Like mostly, you don't measure theropods at the head, to my understanding. Most people seem to use the hip height measurements. Just bear that in mind as well. Long live the king. I haven't seen any of them, so unfortunately can't say anything. When I see them, if you want to get back to that conversation, yes, I can. But I'm not generally into like superhero, Marvel, whatever, DC. Not my cup of tea. I do like Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, though. That one I love to pieces. I absolutely love the shit out of that trilogy. Well, I mean, Maximiliana, what I can say is people just like sometimes to bring up the old discussions for no apparent reason, and sometimes it's just part of the way to troll because it's a very strong troll bait. So, in some cases, people genuinely want to kind of understand what are the arguments pro and against, while in other cases, they're just trolling. So, you just have to be clever enough and picky and assertive enough, I would say, maybe not clever and picky, but more assertive to actually understand which one is which so that you know whether you want to engage or not. So go figure. Yeah, in real life, yes, definitely T-Rex would come out on top in most cases because it was just evolved as a product of natural selection to be better than more better equipped basically to be more powerful and able to deal with more variety of prey and be more of effective predator in general than the predecessors. Because if you compare it to any earlier period animals, remember that T-Rex combines a lot more in it as a thing than it would be, if you talk about other ones that were previously before. Yeah, I mean, once I get the funny thing is, I still haven't watched Infinity War either. Like I said, I'm just not a Marvel fan or just generally a comic book fan like that. Like, just not my kind of thing. But if I do watch it and then Hood Angel, then we can definitely get back and talk about it if you want on a stream one day. So definitely we will do that if you want at some point. T-Rex sized chicken would be almost as scary as actual T-Rex. Not almost, but it would because it can just, well, it will probably peck you. Likely, it will try to eat you, I guess. Hey, Yusiko, welcome back. Well, first of all, they get a lot of things wrong. That's one thing. And I remember last time I at least didn't like about the program is that they are just basically trying to too hard to use T-Rex as some kind of unit of measure, and I honestly don't like that. But that's, again, I'm just giving my opinions. You're welcome to disagree with that if you feel like it was good. I can rewatch it if you want, and I can make some comments on that sometime on the channel. So post your comments below and let me know if you want me to give you my thoughts on that documentary program. So feel free to request that. I'll be happy to do that. I'm currently also working on doing some commentary and maybe a few rants on Prehistoric Park program, but I can do the BBC's Planet Dinosaur as well if you want. I mean, designs, it depends. I mean, maybe they weren't crap. I don't think designs were crap. Probably it's just the fact that they're a little bit outdated, but nah. As in people and their content. Well, I mean, I can't judge them much based on. I mean, I only know based on the information that I've seen, and to be honest, I'm not here to discuss their personal, traits of character. So, content-wise, I mean, with the way Trey has the exposure, he could probably do a lot of useful and good stuff, and I think he's got the potential. And I hope that, let's just say, he would use his powers wisely. As for RJ, I mean, well, all I can say is that he definitely makes some really interesting content. I've seen a lot of his stuff before on Pokemons. I'm not into Pokemons. I actually don't like them, but I actually can say that he's done quite well in their design, and I think that he can definitely do quite well as an artist. Let's just hope that he can do even better when it comes to interaction with people. But again, I'm not here to judge. It's not my problem. So anybody's welcome to have a discussion as long as it's, providing correct context and brings actual arguments to the table. What I don't like is when people try to waste my time with hysteria. That's what I don't like. Otherwise, if you have any decent arguments, yeah, sure, I will attempt to scrutinize them, but if they hold up to scrutiny, chances are I will adapt them as my own as well at one point or another. So you can be certain of that. Hold on a second. What do I think about people drawing T-Rexes with lips? Well, what can I say? I don't think it's accurate. And I've already discussed it, so that's the short answer. So there you go. But whether people should do it or not, I'm not the one to tell them. I wouldn't, and I don't. That's really the simple answer here. Okay, so let's play this one. So what's going on? Imagine you're a T-Rex stalking an Anki. You realize that your target has Avisaurus on it. You bust out of the bush, ready to deliver the killing blow. The Avi is on the Anki startle, and now startle it, and now you're prey. Well, I don't understand how that works. I'm sorry. I'm a bit confused. How am I supposed to become their prey? Don't get it. If I'm a grown T-Rex, there's nothing that can prey on me, really. Every meat-eater dinosaur can have potential to be a cannibal, because remember, cannibalistic doesn't necessarily mean they have to kill their own kind. It just means that they could even eat them when they're already dead if they have no other option. And if they happen to have a confrontation and fight, if one of them somehow dies as a result of that fight, there is no reason why they wouldn't eat them. That's probably the case for most modern predators, aside from potentially maybe mammals. But I think even some mammals can maybe, eat their own dead sometimes. Maybe. But I don't know. I think mammals are maybe the only ones who don't practice this often. But I do know, however, that you can find probably sharks and like crocodilians and others alike, predators that would probably eat their own if they had no other option, or if they accidentally had an opportunity. So I don't see why not. I don't think it would be specifically fair to say that it was cannibalistic because it specifically hunted its own. No, I don't think that's fair to say, because there may be many reasons why they would have potentially killed their own, because some animals kill their own because they try to either eliminate the offspring of a rival male, for example. That's possible. That happens quite a lot. So there are many basically potential behavioral patterns that can explain the cannibalistic behavior. So it doesn't necessarily mean that that would be their diet. It would just mean that there is other motive there. And diet could be a complementary thing, because you kill something, free food, why not? Yeah, if Ananke knows that I'm already here and I gotta fight, well, I guess I might just reconsider and retreat, because I don't see the point of if I'm by myself, if I don't have like a partner who might be, or like any, like a pack member, for example, who could potentially ambush it and grab hold of it, so that I can maybe try to do something with it and manipulate it into submission of some sort. Because my main trick as a T-Rex would be to try get past its defensives, so not to get hit by the mace tail, so not get maced into face basically. And if I can get that, then I would try to probably grab it by the neck and try to see if I can pin it, restrain it enough, and maybe see if I can apply pressure on the neck to break some of the bones, and maybe even try to strangle it if I can, just with the pressure. And if that works, then chances are I might have myself a meal. But I think I would be struggling to do that, so I'd probably leave it alone and try again, but in different circumstances. I'm sorry, Hammerhead, I didn't understand what that means. How many T-Rex still are you? What do you mean? I'm sorry. Okay, yes, take care, Maximilian. Thanks very much, and I'll definitely see you soon, hopefully. So come by again. We'll do this definitely more often, for sure. And I think Planet Dinosaur didn't have a bad Spinosaurus in general. It was decent. But again, we just don't know. So I don't want to go down that territory. I'm staying away from that for now. As it stands, Aaron, the thing is that there is a paper on it that supposedly claims that they could have had quills of some sort as a secondarily developed trait, maybe on concavenator arms. Not feathered. It could just be some kind of filament similar to Psittacosaurus, maybe, or Taniolong, like those type. The problem is that we still haven't found the filaments, and I think either way you could be correct, because at the moment all they've done is just reinterpreted the already existing evidence, but there has been no, there has been no actual evidence that would clear the situation better. They're just basically going back and forth, doing the rebuttals on their previous papers. Basically, they're just doing like the whole cannonball fight. So that's all there is. Let me see. Just trying to make sure that I can. Hopefully my eyes will survive this. It's almost 2 hours now. Thanks for all the likes, by the way. Yeah, by the way, speaking of Franois, he is one of the guys who I did an interview with. So soon enough, I'm actually going to post an interview with him once I get to edit it, obviously. I've got one interview to do, the big one still, because that came before him. But once I get that out of the way as well, I will edit and post the interview with Franois as well. So, and we had quite a good chat. I hope the quality turned out very well, but I had a lot of fun talking to him both on the while we were recording and off the record as well. We really got on well. So I'm definitely gonna get him over here to talk, once I post that interview. And if you like it and if you want him to come back again, I will definitely invite him again to the channel. Yes, I quite like kaiju, but generally Godzilla is my kind of go-to guy. I don't have anything in here, but I've got some resin kits in my shed that I still have to touch up and finish before I can put them into my main collection. But yeah, I've got the 1992 Godzilla, and I've got the Godzilla 2000. And I think my Godzilla 2000 is not an original casting. I think it was a recast that I got by accident, that I didn't realize it was probably a recast based on the quality of resin. So I got it from some Chinese website a long time ago, and it was cheap. I thought it was the real thing, but I later realized it wasn't. But whatever. As long as I don't play around with it, it's gonna be cool. It just, I didn't realize that there were many people doing recasts at the time, so I accidentally bought a recast a long time ago. Still lying around there in my shed. I need to finish it. I don't know, man. I'm seriously, I need to smoke something if I want to go further into that conversation, Scorpio. I'm sorry, mate, but I really need to smoke something or drink or whatever if I really want to seriously continue that, because otherwise, my brain is a little bit. Just had so many crazy things going on during the day as well, so I'm kind of want to try to just answer as many questions as I can before I head out and before I get to see you guys again. But yeah, we can carry on this next time. If I'm drunk though, or if I happen to smoke something, which I usually don't, aside from shisha, then it's going to be a bit difficult for me to carry on this conversation. I think Majungasaurus, I haven't really studied it very much, but I think it would apply universally to all predatory dinosaurs, in my opinion. I don't see how they would be any different. It just means that maybe we have more evidence on ones than the others, but in general, I think it would be something that could be consistent with all theropods. It's I think it's still in the process of formatting. I don't know if it has already been peer reviewed or not, but I think it may have already gone past the peer review. I can double check that if you want, but not this one, not right now. I mean, but I will eventually, and I can give you some update later on the channel if hopefully I remember to do that. But I will definitely be discussing it later. So I think what it's doing, right, what it's going through is some processes of formatting. Now that is something that they're probably going to be doing first. I think it's already past the peer review, but again, I think, I don't know for sure. We'll see. Yeah, that's the thing. The Hood Angel, basically, at the moment, there's a paper that presumably argues against the idea of muscles, and they were supposedly still representative of maybe quill knobs of some sort, but what type of structure was there? Nobody knows if there was any quill at all of any kind, because the quill could be a filament, it could be something totally different. We don't know. Even if it was there, because we just haven't found the quills themselves. They're looking on the same evidence. They're not looking on any new evidence. So that's what I'm saying. Be very careful when you kind of draw any conclusions there. Yes, in the Jurassic Park T-Rex, the arms are too big, definitely. If I were to see a T-Rex for the first time in a million years, what would I do? If I saw it on a safe distance, I would probably go apeshit, both in awe and happiness and whatever I don't know, you could imagine. But if it was staring at my face just about to eat me, I'd probably be terrified, and I'd probably just say, okay, mate, get it over with. But then, of course, I would be, like flailing, just like trying to maybe pluck one of the teeth out because, I want to make him pay for it if it decides to eat me. I don't know. But if I were to observe from safe distance, I would be quite excited, definitely. If it was the real T-Rex, yes. I mean, the only reason why I think about the feathered dromaeosaurids is that they may have been completely feathered is just based on several finds that implicate this via EPB, extant phylogenetic bracketing, because we don't have, for example, any integument preservation for the Utahraptor or any other big dromaeosaurid that we know out there, like Ostroraptor, Dakotaraptor, etc. So until we find that, we can't be 100% sure, but we do have other dromaeosaurids. I believe Microraptor is a dromaeosaurid, and that was found feathered. And I think there were more as well. And generally, Maniraptoran dinosaurs so far show consistency of being either feathered or filamented to a certain degree. So the majority of filamented or feathered dinosaurs come from this Maniraptoran group. What happened to my hair? I lost it when I started losing it when I was 23. It started coming out, so now I'm basically, I used to have this really cool, variation of haircuts that I used to sport back in the days. Now I'm just, I don't know, I guess Vin Diesel, quote unquote. I just don't have the right muscle mass for it, unfortunately. I don't exactly have the voice for it either. I don't know. But yeah. It is what it is. Nature happens, I guess. So yeah, no more hair. Let's see what else we got. Were hadrosaurs actually capable of stomping like the Shant on the Isle? I don't actually know. That's an interesting question. It's definitely worth looking into to see whether or not they were able to do that. I mean, they could definitely ram you or like trample you over you if they were to just run at you, but I don't know whether they could do that. Dracorex and Stygimoloch, I think they are just juvenile versions of Pachycephalosaurus, to be honest. I don't think they are their own valid taxons. I find Jack Horner's theory and hypothesis on their ontogeny quite plausible. I just don't see anything that's particularly wrong with it, in my opinion. Like, it's very consistent. Unless there are details that I haven't noticed. Torosaurus is not Triceratops. As far as I'm concerned, there is no controversy there. To my understanding, they are different animals. Simple as that. I believe the problem with it is that there were younger Torosaurus than Triceratopses. Does that make sense? Because it was said initially that Torosaurus was the older trike, basically, but then there are Triceratops apparently that are older than Torosaurus. So, and once again, the best way to backtrack on it is just simply look at all the paperwork that's been done. But to my understanding, most of the studies support them to be different taxa, not the same taxon. What else? Filaments on Dilophosaurus. I don't think there were any filaments because I think that what was discovered turned out later to be just some kind of probably plants or something else. I can't remember, but I mean, there is no, as far as I'm concerned, there is no reason to suggest that they were filamented. They don't belong to the right group, and most of the animals, as far as dinosaurs concerned, they did not develop filaments. At least we don't have the evidence for them in that period or from that group. Maybe in the period, maybe some of them did, but as far as the groups directly go, I don't think that there is any relationship there to even suggest that. No, Regaliceratops is not from Hell Creek. It's a different formation. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Hold on a second. Regaliceratops. Let's have a look. So Regaliceratops, and It's from Alberta, Canada. What else does it say? Let's have a look. St. Mary River Formation, and this means, well, yeah, there are a couple more animals that were found with them. But again, I'm relying on Wiki at the moment, so I would have to go every little point by point to verify if the citations actually confirm the validity and consistency of what the Wiki says. But at least maybe the Wiki would be accurate enough in this regard to say that, yes, it's St. Mary River Formation, not Hell Creek. So we're talking about, as far as I understand, we're talking what's the period? What does it tell us about it? I'm just trying to understand the best way to kind of, it's hard to see it because I don't want to spend too long looking at the articles right now, but well, I mean, 68.5 to 67.5 million years. I mean, yeah, there is a potential chance that they could have intercepted by period alone. So, you know what? There may be a possibility that T-Rex and Regaloceratops may have come close to each other at one point or another. Depending, because you see the period gap, as we discover more specimens, they seem to kind of get tighter and tighter and tighter until they eventually go into meet at one point. So where they meet is the important part to understand whether they coexisted or whether they stopped at one point and went on with a different one. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, Siu's skull is definitely an odd one in that way. I mean, I can't really give you much on verification on it, but oh, hey, Sarokan, how are you doing? Nice to see you here. Definitely a welcome sight here in this chat. So let me just quickly catch up with the comments. I'm a bit slow here. I'm a bit slow pokey. Yeah, there may be something odd with Siu's reconstruction, but let's see. Maybe Sarokan can help with that because he's quite good at these things. Yeah, that's fine. Just feel free to step out and come back in whenever. Axe head attack at Allosaurus. I mean, we don't know. I mean, I don't know how far, in terms of the context, the the hypothesis has been tested. So go figure. I do know for a fact that Allosauroid bite could be nasty enough, at least, to deliver the damage needed to bleed the prey out before it can be fought into submission. But that's as far as I can say. I don't even know if the whole axe head attack would definitely be its main tactic. And again, depends what are we talking about. And Diabloceratops, isn't it a centrosaurin? Hold on a second. I think it's a centrosaurin. Yeah, it's just a centrosaurin. I don't even know if there is any. Oh wait, yeah, there is like a further. Yeah, there is an Asutoceratopsini, but they don't include Diabloceratops in it. It's just a centrosaurin, and then Asutoceratopsini apparently has Avaceratops, Nasutoceratops, obviously, and some other Yaquacerat. Oh my god! Oh, shitty biscuits! I can't pronounce that name, but it's the third one in that group, basically. Okay. So yeah, no, it's not it's not an Asutoceratopsini. No, to answer that question. Optimus Prime, I am afraid you just asked the $1 million question as about the Daspletosaurus. Well, the Daspletosaurus was definitely an apex predator of its period, but as far as whether it's a direct ancestor to T-Rex, uh, well, I mean, they're both from late Cretaceous. What you probably mean is the later like period, as in like the Maastrichtian, as in like all the way to the end of the Maastrichtian, when they prior to extinction and stuff, or prior to appearance and evolution of T-Rex. So yeah, it's hard to say whether it was the ancestor to it, because there are many theories which so far are pretty hard to test in terms of the T-Rex ancestry. I'd rather not be eaten by any dinosaurs, thank you very much. I'd rather just live a long and happy life. I've got more things to do. I still want to get married and have kids with a beautiful, lovely woman. And I still want to do many other things before I get eaten by anything. So I don't want to get eaten. I mean, it's hard to say whether there's really any evidence to support pack hunting in Allosaurus. I mean, maybe there were some bone beds that suggest that, but then again, you need to try to think when it comes to behavior, how exactly would that apply to the context in its environment? How would it benefit from pack hunting, or would it benefit more from being a solitary animal and killer? Bear in mind also that there are other predators in its environment and period. If we talk about Morrison, at the very least, we already have established that there is Torvosaurus and Ceratosaurus. There is also potentially Saurophaganax, unless it gets proven that it's just a different Allosaurus. But if there are at least two different species of Allosaurus that may have lived in the same period, then that's already a competition, unless they just morphed into each other via anagenesis. But I don't really know about that part. It's a good question to ask Dr. Steven Brusati. So if you want, we can bring that up with him whenever I read the book and invite him to the channel, because I have so many questions of a similar type when it comes to Allosauroids anyway that I want to ask and bring up on the channel at one point. Okay, well, I mean, what do you mean what I think? Like, well, anything specific? Yeah, I do believe there is a possibility they could at least mob, just like gang up on a lonely animal or on an animal that's a bit smaller or sick or injured in any way and just isolate it, like many other predators usually do. Then take it down and fight over who gets the first bite, and then just finish it off. It doesn't mean they will stick together as a group once they've done their job. It just means that they may have been brought together just because they were all attracted to that herd, maybe, of Camarasaurus, for example, or a Diplodocus or whatever else that was around. There's many ways they could interact as a group and not even necessarily be living as a group their whole lives. Maybe the part of the idea that they may have been social enough and tolerate each other enough just so they can come together and via combined effort maybe bring down some animals so that they can provide food. It depends what ones, because on theropods, no, I don't think that. I think ceratopsids should have cheeks, because I think their skull structure, the bone texture on their regions, they kind of indicate that there may have been some kind of soft tissue. Also, try to think of how they would actually be able to consume their food without being able to keep it in the mouth and then, grind it, because it would just end up falling out mostly. So it would not provide them with a very sufficient way to, but that's, I mean, again, it's my opinion, because you did say, what do I think about it? So that's my opinion. I don't think it's plausible. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks very much. I'm a little bit obviously tired because I just had so many crazy things going on today. There was just a combination of a certain volume of work I needed to do and a few things to be sorted. Some bad news from certain areas, as far as people go. Don't want to get into that, but just like something that kind of really drained me of the energy. So sorry if I look like I'm a bit tired, because I do want to try to kind of be at the time when there's most people. So yeah, I'm doing all right though. I'm okay. In any case, welcome. Now, if it was Tarbosaurus and Allosaurus, Tarbosaurus 100%. It's definitely a more advanced as a theropod, and it's more powerful. It's more powerfully built, has stronger neck, stronger skull. Everything is on its side mostly. So I don't see why. Will I continue defending Saurian? Well, it depends. If I find that there's a good topic to discuss where somebody was being, critical towards them for no good reason, like this other dude that did there, the example that I picked, yeah, why not? Sometimes it makes fun rant videos, and it just kind of exposes certain hypocrisies on that side of the argument, I guess, who make these kind of idiotic posts. So it's just a good idea sometimes to let people know that these things happen. And, well, yeah, whatever. It was just something I wanted to do to spice things up a little bit, to be honest. I mean, I don't intend to be on it for too much. I mean, I want to focus on other things at the moment, as far as the channel goes. All right, take care, Scorpy. See you later. Thanks for coming. Now, for the second part of the question, well, I mean, yes, it is technically a cousin because they are close relatives from the same family. And also they happen to be both Tyrannosaurians rather than Albertosaurians, so, or one being the other, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I would say that it's probably reasonable to say that they are cousins, depending on how you define cousin. But I think if I understood your question correctly, yes, you could probably say so. I think the most appropriate way to look at the Torvosaurus is that it was basically roughly the same size as Allosaurus as far as length goes, maybe, give or take. But it was just a slightly heavier and more heavily built animal, so it would probably specialize in, slightly different ecological niches compared to, say, Allosaurus, in my opinion, at least. I don't think it was nearly as large as a Tyrannosaurus, though. So I don't think that's a correct interpretation. Maybe you are looking at some of the old art, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't see the reason why it would be anywhere near as big as T-Rex if it's like at least half the weight, maybe at best, if not even more than that. Can't say much about Saurophaganax. If anything, even if it's similar length, it's definitely nowhere near about the same weight, for sure. A lot of things comes down to the fact that allosauroids are generally, like the early period allosauroids anyway, they are quite lengthy and lean creatures for their mass, maybe. Or it's the other way around. The Carcharodontosaurids and Tyrannosaurids are just too heavily built for their length. Depends which way you put it. Let's see if I can show you a few other things. I mean, Hood Angel, I don't actually know about this one, so again, I'll need to look that one up later sometime when I have time, hopefully. Don't know. Let me have a look about this one, actually. Hold on a second. Remember one important thing, that basically climate has changed a lot more frequently than the animals' physical appearances. So there must have been ways they dealt with it that we just don't know about. Just bear that in mind as well. So, like, it's tempting sometimes to jump to some outlandish ideas and hypotheses, but the point of science is to disprove as many hypotheses as possible, to only keep the strongest and most valid ones, the ones that stand up to most scrutiny. I mean, let's just have a look and see if there is actually reasonable info on it. Most of the allosauroids that are of the similar size, they are very likely to be lighter weights anyway. They would not be as heavy weight unless it's a Carcharodontosaurid of the same size as like Giga or Carcharodontosaurus, Tyranotitan, Mapiosaurus. And even they would still likely be, well, they're not likely, but most definitely, based on at least the limited available sample size, from what we know, they would be lighter than Tyrannosaurus as far as mass goes. So let me have a look. Where is it again? Oh yes, Sauroniops. Yeah, there we go. Well, yeah, that's what I said. It's unfortunately not very easy to tell. We don't really know much about it, unfortunately. So it would be nice to find out, to see if we have. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would say we need more specimens to get a better understanding, but it's interesting that we are finding quite a lot of allosauroids, and the name history behind it is quite interesting too. I agree. Definitely found that fascinating. Awesome. No, Aaron, I don't believe we actually know about. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Sarokan. So yeah, that answers the question. So in any case, yeah, there was no evidence of Oranosaurus being from the same period. Oranosaurus is a slightly earlier period than Spinosaurus. It comes from an Elraz formation, but Spinosaurus is from Beharia formation, which is a younger formation than Elraz. Well, if it's just an eyebrow, I mean, there's really not much you can really say from it, can you? I mean, how can you conclude what size it was if it's a small bone alone, isolated? No. Even by the skulls alone, sometimes it's hard to predict the proportions or certain like species. If we're gonna be looking at like isolated pieces, we can predict even T-Rexes, some T-Rex specimens to be a bit bigger, and even then, we don't know how accurate those predictions can be. Most likely, they won't be. Most likely, they will be over exaggerated, to my understanding. It's almost 2.5 hours. Crazy. Yep, that's what you call a random helmet shot. I was just waiting for some reactions to see if anybody else says anything. Like, I need to get a different helmet, like the one with a visor, proper one. Because these ones are the old period design from the Crusades, the Great Helm, and they're not very comfortable. Although it's just a plastic maquette, it's not the real thing, obviously. Oh my god, I don't know who would win. I don't know all the answers to all of those questions, guys. Come on, like, it's not like I'm a walking encyclopedia of, you know, like. Oh, hold on a second. Let me see if I can. Oh, there we go. It's like, okay, who's gonna win today? Oh, this one. Yeah. I honestly don't know. Great controversy in dinosaur paleontology would be just spitball it. Oh boy. Next great controversy. Oh my goodness. I mean, I've seen one here mentioning whiskers. So how long is that gonna be before somebody genuinely tries to propose it? The next great controversy. What else we can think of? Does it have to be something that we haven't already had? Yes, believe me, there has been somebody who seriously thought that whiskers could be a thing. I don't mean any malice. I just think that it's, well, hilarious and probably exaggerated, but I just find it very funny. Whiskers. High laser beams, maybe, yeah. Resurrected topics. I don't know, maybe like, these kind of things about. I've seen some artists try to almost paint theropods as if they have these dewlaps, like pelicans, basically, which I think is absolutely stupid. I don't think that's the case. Then I can probably see the whole idea with lips getting resurrected from time to time, because we do have people who probably support that idea. So, yeah, there's definitely that. So, oh, interesting. Let me quickly see if I can invite some more people to the stream. Um, Hold on a second. I'm just inviting someone on the stream. So, So yeah, I mean, yeah, there could be quite a few. I don't presume that unless we have any more crazy like spin arounds, I don't expect the whole feathers and scales thing to be resurrected again because, to my understanding, it's completely dead now. There's no reason for it anymore to exist. It's just a few people who hang on to it, but I don't think anybody who takes this subject seriously enough would actually genuinely believe that, even if they said it out loud. That's my opinion, anyway. Jurassic Fight Club's reconstruction of T Rex was actually pretty decent, but I'll need to look at it again. But I think it was all right. It wasn't bad. It's definitely in the list of reconstructions that I consider to be not bad, I would say, at the very least. But then again, given how picky I am in general on when it comes to reconstructing uh, dinosaurs and theropods in particular, especially the ones that I know quite well or well enough to kind of point a few things out, yeah, definitely. And would a T-Rex take it as a threat? I think you can pretty much say that many animals that can respond well to that sort of idea of vision would probably consider this to be a challenge. But then again, it's hard to say really because we simply do not know. But because this is a behavioral trait, we don't even know if it's going to trigger it to that point or not. If it was alive today, we don't even know if it would be interested in eating us if there were other better means of prey available on a regular basis. Like, say, if we were to go on a dinosaur safari in Cretaceous, there is not a whole lot of chance it would be picking us as the priority for the prey, although you never know. Well, yeah, exactly. Like, why would you put whiskers on any dinosaur if all the skin and facial integument we find suggests that they had nothing to accommodate that kind of structure? So yeah, don't just oh, whiskers. My God, I'm going to be having nightmares about whiskers now. Colindodromios is just basically uh, a very intriguing specimen that needs to be studied more. That's all I can say about it. To my understanding, that the authors of the 2014 study uh, labeled certain structures as feathers, which is part of the problem. What that I think is to do with the rhetoric, and the problem is that they are not consistent because feathers are a very specific structure that has a very specific set of conditions that need to be met to be defined as a feather to fit the definition. And the structures that are outlined there do not meet those conditions in any way possible. At most, you can define them as some sort of filaments, maybe, but we don't know the nature of these filaments, and we don't know how truly widespread they were in other taxa. It could be just unique to that taxon. And if there were multiple species of Colindodromius, then there is a chance that it may even be unique to that specific species. But again, we need more specimens, we need more revisions of the study. As far as the plans for the channel, I want to say that yes, there's 2 interview sessions that I plan to upload as soon as possible once I get through the longer one, which has a guy, a very cool educational curator from Utah, from one of the museums there. And there are some cool items that I can look up that we will show briefly and discuss. There's like presumably I think it's the largest Ramphorhynchid that was found in that museum, but I need to remember again because I need to, once I go back to editing, I'll definitely remember for sure. Or you will just hear it on the interview once I upload it. And there is also uh, an interview with Franois that I mentioned that will discuss the skeletal, reconstructions that he does, basically his work. And he also teased a little bit that he's apparently been participating in a study. So he actually has produced a specific skeletal reconstruction material for presumably an upcoming paper, which he could not reveal because he didn't want to break an embargo. But he assured me that I would know about it once it hits the shelves. So that's all I can say. And also, I want to do more videos on my sculptures and more artwork. Probably, if I have time, playing more games, something that's not directly related to dinosaurs. Maybe do a Witcher 3 playthrough. Maybe I can do Kingdom Come Deliverance. Maybe when I get a chance to afford it, maybe I can do a Warhammer Total War to play as Lizardman. Once I can hopefully afford that game, because it's a bit expensive at the moment. So, and what else? Maybe do some more Warhammer 40k related stuff, as I haven't done any painting tutorials for a long time, since I haven't touched my models for a long time as well. So just want to vary up things a little bit. Then I want to introduce the series called just my whole discussion, more just theorizing and just discussing my personal ideas about arms and armor of Mesozoic. So that means that we'll be discussing the predators versus prey relationships and scenarios of how they can play out. And then, of course, some ideas about certain evolutionary paths that have been proposed but have not been tested. Maybe discuss that a bit more as well, like the origins of Tyrannosaurus Rex, for example. I'd like to do more about that. So yeah, definitely going to talk about stuff, and definitely want to invite more people to the channel. I want to invite Dr. Steven Brusati. Maybe also might want to talk and invite Jason, a newly, basically a new junior paleontologist, basically, because he's been working on a paper as well regarding ankylosaurid brains or something like that, I think, or something to do with their breathing. I can't remember exactly, but it was something to do with their with either one of those things, basically, which would be interesting to discuss on the channel once he hopefully gets that done. And I also want to invite, if I didn't say that already, then yes, Steven Brusati. I think I may have said that already, though. I want to invite Dr. Holtz as well. I want to invite Dr. Victoria Arbor as well to talk about ankylosaurids and armored dinosaurs in general. Maybe I might invite Darren Tanke at one point. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was about breathing. That's right. So yeah, definitely gonna be interesting to discuss that in more detail, and maybe we can do a rant as well with the guy who's basically gonna be in the upcoming interview, and because Josh Volsey is gonna be participating in the interview, so get them two back again and maybe do a rant on just general dinosaur related topics, including Jurassic Park and maybe other things too. So like a three-way rant basically would be nice. And definitely want to do this maybe like a mini review and maybe commentary on Prehistoric Park episodes, because I really want to share some ideas. I mean, it was a fun premise, but it had lots of problems in it. So I definitely think that you guys might want to hear what I have to say about it. I think then I mentioned earlier that we're definitely going to do something about the Planet Dinosaurs by BBC for sure. It would be interesting to discuss that in more detail. And Titanosaurs are sauropods, actually. They are just a titanosaurian, whatever, sauropods, sauropodomorphs, probably. Awesome. See you later, Sarokan. Talk to you soon. Thanks for coming. Right. Oh my goodness. That's almost, yeah. No wonder my throat is getting a bit sore now. I think there has been ornithomimus, either ornithomimus or struthiamimus, that has been preserved with feathers or filaments or both. Deinocheirus, I believe, is simply suggested to be obviously filamented simply because it belongs to, I think it's an ornithomimosaur, and because they all are basically maniraptorans, so it's kind of the implication via EPB, I think. I don't think there is any direct evidence for Deinocheirus. Although, if it turns out that it was scaly, I would actually be quite surprised, honestly, at this point. But who knows? But I think it's probably due to EPB, simply because of the lack of the actual direct evidence. I'm going to be finishing the stream as well soon, so I want to just let you know, guys, that if you have any more questions, let's start slowly wrapping this up, because I will need to do a few things before I finish the day, and then I'll have to hit the bed. Yeah, there definitely was an ornithomimus specimen of sort. Yeah, it's it's 11 o'clock in the evening, so 11 p.m. right now here in London. So I'm definitely gonna be hitting the bed soon. Before I do that, though, I'll have a few things to do. So I'm probably gonna just hang around here for a bit, because it's like it's 7 of you now here who are viewing. So I think some people either also have things to do or places to be, I guess. But yeah, we're definitely gonna do this stuff more often. Oh, somebody has actually come up, so that's 8 now. I can't say I have a preference. I mean, I can't say I'm interested in very much in either of them. They're not particularly my top favorite groups that I would definitely be more interested in studying, but I do want to, of course, find out more things about them as they come up. Obviously, depends, but I can't say that I have any particular priority and preference. I mean, generally, I have preference towards, you know, things like tyrannosaurids, allosauroid theropods in general, spinosaurids, megalosauroids overall, because spinosaurids are actually megalosauroids. So I guess those are my like top ones. Then of course I got ceratopsians, ankylosauria. I quite like some of the sauropods. I quite like also stegosaurs. Those are quite interesting. Hypsilophodontids are kind of cool in a sense. I don't know why, but I think they're just interesting. I don't know. There's just something about them that I think I would. I think I have a special affection to. Hey, Yusiko. I think I have a special affection towards Hypsilophodon after seeing the 2001 adaptation of The Lost World done by BBC, because there was this Hypsilophodon that Edward Malone named Figaro. So, and it was really cute and awesome. I kind of thought it would be amazing to actually see one like that in real life. So, ever since this image got stuck to me, so yeah, now I find Hypsilophodons kind of cute as well, I guess. Could be good food too, don't get me wrong. Yeah, awesome, Hood Angel. I mean, if you gotta go, well, when you gotta go, you gotta go. So, Ian Malcolm. So yeah, uh, if you guys have no more immediate kind of questions that you can think of straight from the head, that's perfectly cool. We can wrap this up for now and just resume. By the way, those who are still here, yeah, take care, man. Take care. Those of you who are still here, do you think we can do the same one exactly in a week? So let me just double check the timetable again, the calendar, but this would mean it's going to be 11th of October. Or we can do 10th on Wednesday, either of these. I mean, obviously, I will try to let you guys know if I'm going to be able to make it, but generally, I was thinking maybe do one next week if you want. Korea ceratops semi-aquatic. I don't know of any ceratopsids that were semi-aquatic at all. And even if whatever it is, you have to actually have evidence to support the idea. But okay, I see that because of the design. And I've got the Google image of the one by, I think it's Julius Xatoni, one of my favorite artists. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, it's possible because of the extra, extended bits on the tail. But then again, we have to look at a bigger picture here. So it's hard to say whether it truly was a semi-aquatic one or not. Maybe it was something that could potentially provide it with a mechanism to be able to swim from like one river bank to another. You know what I mean? So I don't think it was maybe the main thing, but it could have been something that it could have made use of potentially. So documentaries, but what would be your... I mean, of course, it's hard to say. Like, I don't have favorites as such based on the accuracy. And are we talking only dinosaurs or other ones? Because I actually like other ones more than any of them that I've seen on dinosaurs. Like, so far, I haven't seen them all, obviously, but I want to say probably Walking with Beasts was actually one of my documentary shows of all. I just really enjoyed them. Just although they are not probably, if I were to dig into it, maybe there are some problems with certain things with them as well. But I found them extremely interesting. Like, I really loved their episodes. And I don't know why, but that episode where they were showing woolly mammoths and they showed a woolly rhino basically attacking, I think it was Neanderthal. I don't know why, but that scene when woolly rhino basically, smacked that Neanderthal when he like flied up in the air and started screaming. I don't know why, but that made me laugh. It makes me laugh all the time. I don't know, maybe I'm a sick bastard, like I said, but it just every time I see this, it makes me giggle. Can't help it. All right. I'll tell you what, guys, let's do 15 more minutes to make it 3 hours exactly, and then I'm going to be probably going. So what are your thoughts as well on next week? Like I asked earlier on, do you want to do the same thing next week? Or like say same day, or do you want to do it in 2 weeks? That's 4 of you now. Not as many people. 3. Okay. So not a lot of people anymore. Maybe I might need to finish up a bit earlier than I expected. Or we can make just 15 minutes. Oh, 4. Somebody's back. Is there any way to check who is actually here? I just want to try to see if I can find who is actually online. Like I said, unfortunately, I'm a bit new to this. Okay, 6. So we've got some people back up again. So yeah, I will repeat the question in case you guys didn't get it. Are you happy with me doing this on a weekly basis, or do you want to do every 2 weeks? And shall we just stick to this timetable? I mean, this will be the most convenient for me personally. But if there is obviously, some other suggestions, then feel free. I mean, yeah, every 2 weeks sounds good as well. For now, maybe because, well, I know it's my own decision. I'm just asking how you guys think, like, what would be more interesting to you as my subs. So obviously, I want to know your opinions on this. I mean, 2 weeks sounds all right because it's just the right kind of consistency to kind of keep it going, and yet it's not, you know, it's not too often, but it's also not too um, rare. So okay, yeah, I think we can agree that 2 weeks seems like a reasonable option. So that would make it. Let's check the calendar again. So that would make it 18th of October then, roughly, or 17th, depends on whether or not I'm better available on Wednesday or Thursday. And hopefully by then I would have done some more interesting stuff. I forgot to show you something else. I was so carried away and I forgot to show you. There's another work in progress that I've got. Hold on a moment. No, nothing on the new Alaska Troodonid just yet. If I do, even if it's something obviously that's gonna get the interesting topics for discussions going, then yeah, we can talk about that at some point too. And what you just saw there when I showed on the camera, that was my work in progress still for the American lion, the Atrox, Leo Atrox. So this will be amazing. Yeah, yeah, it's an American. I'll just type it up just to kind of make sure that it's yes. I just realized I wish I would have shown it earlier when there were more people around. So hopefully by the time I do next live stream, I might already have completed it because I'm waiting for some tools to come around to finish up texturing. Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Proportionally, American lion has longer limbs, and it's generally considered to be, well, obviously it's bigger, like significantly bigger. It's also more muscular, more robust, heavier built, especially at the front limbs. Like they were built quite strong. So yeah, they would probably wrestle their prey down. And the other interesting thing as well that you would probably remember, I done an interview with Josh, and also he came back several times to talk about it. And he's actually been digging in La Brea tar pits, and he's had a hands-on experience dealing with American lion remains. So a lot of things that I've got on the sculpture, he was helping me to get it right. I mean, I don't think that the Walking with Dinosaurs 3D portrayed the period accurately because, to my understanding, they've mixed things up a little bit. Like, Gorgosaurus is from Dinosaur Park formation, Edmontosaurus, if their one was whether it was an Anectines or Regalis, they're both not supposed to be there. So let's say because they don't have the little thingamajiggy on the top of the head, and at the time it wasn't proposed anyway, but either of them, they're not supposed to be there together. They were separated from different periods. Also, Edmontonia, if that nodosaurid that appeared was Edmontonia, then it looks like I think Gorgosaurus and Edmontonia did actually appear together. So I think I think Edmontonia, at least one of the species of Edmontonia, appeared in Dinosaur Park Formation. Then Pachyrhinosaurus did not, though. None of the three species of Pachyrhinosaurus actually were around in the same period as Gorgosaurus liberatus. So all of the ones that are I think Lacustai was the earliest. Then we have the Canadiensis, and then I definitely remember that the latest and the latest period of them was either Perotum or Peratorum. I can't remember the name, but none of the three species of Pachyrhinosaurus, I think, lived alongside Gorgosaurus in Dinosaur Park Formation, to my understanding. So, yeah, there are quite a number of problems with it. It was fun. It was interesting, and I actually quite liked the reconstructions on some of them, but I definitely don't think it was accurate in terms of the animals that they chose to put together to represent the ecosystem. So I think that was a bit incorrect there. They could have easily just picked any other similar dinosaurs from different groups, from different taxons, and that would have made the point just the same. No, I don't think I've seen this channel. Not, so I can't say much. Albertosaurus is from the Horseshoe Canyon. I don't think we have any Pachyrhinosaurus from Horseshoe Canyon Formation, to my knowledge. Let me see if we can verify this. And again, we're gonna have to trust Wiki on this. Not my ideal choice, but let's say, let's just go with Pachyrhinosaurus and then see what comes up. So let's see actually what three species we've had. So we have Lacustai from PT whatever formation. We have Canadiensis from lower Horseshoe Formation. So there is a chance that it may have actually, one of the species at least may have coexisted with Albertosaurus. So let's just try to verify this. And then we have the last of the species named Perotorum. Yeah, the Perotorum, that's the right one, yeah. But that one existed in a Prince Creek Formation. And that's the one that has Nanongsaurus in it, but unfortunately, Nanongsaurus has only partial skull and like basically maxilla and the lower jaw parts only, so not a whole lot to go with, unfortunately. So not an Albertosaurus, but a different predator potentially, unless we may find a bigger predator in there. And yeah, as far as Horseshoe Canyon goes, we've got a variety here. We got, where are they? Come on. Yeah, Canadiensis. So we've got, in fact, Lacustai could be there too. At least they say that in the lower unit that Lacustai could be there, but I think it's probably Canadiensis. Let's see where Albertosaurus is listed. Units 2 to 5. So yeah, it's very likely that we may have at least interception between the Canadiensis and the Albertosaurus sarcophagus. So yeah, that could probably be the right scenario. As far as the other formation goes, it seems we don't have any apex predator from that formation yet. Not very well known anyway. So yeah, there's that. Okay, so guys, it's approaching towards the end, and I'm gonna be wrapping this up. So if you have any last minute questions right now, spit them out, and I'm gonna take care of that. And then after this, we're gonna wrap up because I gotta go do a few things and then hit the bed. Megalodon, I think, does have a stronger bite force, and also I believe there was a paper on the Brazilian and Miocene supercroc called Purosaurus. I don't remember if it's only specific species, maybe Brasiliensis or something else, but or if it applies to all of them. But that was supposed to have more powerful bite force as well. If we just look at the sheer pressure of the bite itself, so. There is no evidence of lips in any dinosaurs. Please, guys, we don't know that. Oh wait, sorry, you were asking the question. Sorry, I didn't see the question mark behind my mic. Apologies. I didn't mean that. Sorry. Yeah, no. We don't have any evidence for lips in any dinosaurs. So, not that I would know of, at least. And I think sauropods were not an exception from that. And yes, Purosaurus, I think also this supercroc had a more powerful bite force than a T-Rex. Like, I think it was even more powerful than Deinosuchus and Sarcosuchus as well, which in turn makes it also more powerful than a T-Rex, because T-Rex may have been about the same as Deinosuchus or more powerful, I think. But we know for a fact that in a study for Purosaurus, there was a paper on it. Definitely it can come up if you search around on Google. It will pop up. Just make sure that you don't go for the article, but go for the actual original source and read the paper. I think that they've done a study that shows that it's a more powerful bite force there, the Miocene Purosaurus. And by the way, I want to make a model of Purosaurus as well, which will be about, if it's stretched, it will be 48 inches long, roughly. If it's being a crocodilian, I can, of course, cheat a little bit. So I can fold the tail a little bit, do some tricky, wacky pose. So, yeah. Oh, and by the way, a 48-inch T-Rex is going to happen as well. That's going to be a 1:10 scale Tyrannosaurus and a Giga. So those things are definitely coming eventually at one point or another. Golicho is an interesting one because of the tendency that it shows towards the limb reduction, the front limbs. I mean, that's what I can say. It's definitely interesting specimen. So let's hope we can learn more about it at one point or another. Right, guys. So 3 hours now. Let's wrap it up. So thanks very much for all of your questions. Thanks for joining the stream. It was lots of fun. And sculptures definitely are gonna come. So more of them. Once I hopefully get the kits done for these first, get them going, and then I can add more to the base, and hopefully I'll have enough space to store them. But if I win a lottery, I'll buy a mansion, and that's definitely going to solve the problem. So thanks very much for coming, and I'll see you guys later in 2 weeks' time then, as we agreed. And post your comments below if you haven't had a chance to participate live. If you are also new to the channel, then please leave a like and subscribe. And feel free to request content if you wish to. If it's something I can accommodate, I'll definitely do that. And also, let me know what sculptures would you like me to make. Maybe I can do a video just giving you the list of things that I'm currently looking at, so that you have actually any viable options to pick from. Because, I mean, obviously, I'm trying to kind of pick the ones from specific periods, but we can get to that later on, actually, if you want. And then, once I make the video, we can then discuss it on the live stream. I mean, in 2 weeks' time. So, thanks for watching, guys, and those who are also hitting the bed, good night. Those who are just starting their day, enjoy the rest of your day and stay safe. Until then, I've been AK Rex. Bye-bye.